Open your fridge for a second and actually look at what's inside. Cold soda, packaged yogurt, leftover pizza, fruit that was grown thousands of miles away and shipped across continents. To you, this is normal food. To your ancestors, none of this would even register as edible, not because it's strange, but because it's too easy. And that's the part most people don't understand. The human diet wasn't built on convenience. It was built on survival, scarcity, and whatever could be taken before something else got there first. And when scientists started uncovering direct evidence of what early humans actually ate, the results didn't just challenge assumptions. They made modern eating habits look completely disconnected from the biology that still runs inside you. To understand this, you have to go back millions of years, long before farming, long before cooking, long before structured meals existed. Early humans were not apex predators. They didn't hunt efficiently, they didn't control their environment. They survived as opportunistic scavengers inside a competitive ecosystem. When a large predator like a lion made a kill, it consumed the most nutrient-dense organs first, the liver, the heart, the muscle tissue. Then other scavengers moved in, tearing through what remained. By the time early humans approached the site, there was almost nothing left that could be easily eaten. No clean cuts of meat, no simple meals, just fragments, thick bones, scraps, and whatever hadn't already been claimed. And this is where something critical happened. Early humans didn't walk away, they adapted. Using primitive stone tools, they began breaking open large bones that other animals couldn't access. Inside those bones was marrow-dense, fatty tissue packed with calories. In a resource-scarce environment, this wasn't just food, it was survival energy. It required effort, coordination, and timing to access it before other scavengers returned. This behavior wasn't optional. It became a defining part of early human dietary strategy. But marrow wasn't the only target. The brain of an animal, protected inside the skull, contained high concentrations of fat and nutrients essential for survival. Accessing it required precision, cracking the skull, extracting what was inside, consuming it quickly. This wasn't clean, it wasn't structured, but it was efficient. And over time, the human body adapted to prioritize exactly these types of energy-dense resources. That's why, even today, fat triggers a strong biological response. It's not preference, it's programming. At the same time, early humans relied heavily on smaller, overlooked food sources, especially insects. Termites, larvae, beetles, high in protein, easy to collect in certain environments, and available when larger food sources weren't. This wasn't desperation, it was strategy. Insects provided consistent nutritional value in ecosystems where larger prey was unpredictable. For hundreds of thousands of years, this formed a stable part of the human diet, not as a fallback, but as a reliable resource. Then something changed that reshaped everything: fire. The controlled use of fire introduced cooking, and with it, a completely new form of energy extraction. Cooking breaks down food before it enters the body, reducing the energy required for digestion and increasing the calories that can be absorbed. This wasn't just a convenience, it was a biological shift. As cooked food became more common, the human digestive system began to adapt. Gut size decreased, energy efficiency increased, and that freed energy was redirected somewhere else: the brain. Despite being a small percentage of total body mass, the human brain consumes a disproportionate amount of energy. Maintaining it requires a consistent intake of high-calorie, nutrient-dense food. Raw plants and occasional scavenged scraps weren't enough to sustain that demand. Cooked food changed the equation. It allowed humans to extract more energy from the same resources, supporting increased cognitive function, memory, and problem solving. This wasn't just a dietary shift, it was a turning point in human evolution. As cognitive ability expanded, so did dietary diversity. Humans became more effective hunters, gatherers, and problem solvers. Large animals like bison, wild horses, and eventually mammoths became part of the food system. Rivers and coastal regions introduced fish and shellfish. Plant-based foods expanded to include roots, wild grains, berries, and nuts. The human diet became flexible, adaptive, and opportunistic, shaped by environment, availability, and seasonality. There was no fixed menu, only survival. And yet, some patterns remained constant. One of the most powerful was the attraction to sugar. In natural environments, sugar was rare but extremely valuable. Found primarily in fruits and honey, it provided immediate energy and triggered storage mechanisms in the body. When early humans found honey, it wasn't just food, it was a concentrated energy source worth significant risk. Even today, some hunter-gatherer groups will go to extreme lengths to access it because biologically, sugar signals abundance in a world where abundance is temporary. That signal still exists. Your brain doesn't distinguish between natural sugar sources and modern processed ones. It responds the same way, triggering reward pathways, encouraging consumption, and promoting storage. The difference is that modern environments provide constant access. What was once rare is now everywhere, and the biological response hasn't changed. But sugar wasn't the only driver. Protein and fat played an equally critical role. Large animal kills provided sustained energy, reducing the time needed to gather food daily. This created space for other activities, tool making, social interaction, knowledge transfer. Food wasn't just survival anymore, it became a foundation for development. And with that, human societies became more complex, but not all behaviors from that time are easy to process. Archaeological evidence from multiple regions shows that early humans sometimes consumed other humans, not always out of necessity, but as part of ritualistic or cultural behavior. The physical evidence is clear. Bones processed in the same way as animal remains, cut marks, marrow extraction, and modified skulls. From a purely nutritional standpoint, humans are not efficient prey compared to large animals, which suggests that in some cases the behavior wasn't driven by survival alone. It meant something. And then there's another detail that feels even harder to accept. Early humans didn't always eat food immediately after it was obtained. In many cases, they stored it, buried it, left it in controlled environments, and when they returned, the food had already begun to decompose. Bacteria had started breaking it down. From a modern perspective, this signals danger. But in controlled conditions, decomposition can make food easier to digest and can even increase certain nutrient availability. Some evidence suggests this wasn't accidental, it was intentional. Your body still reflects this history. Modern fermented foods, cheese, yogurt, pickles, bread, beverages, are all controlled forms of decomposition. The difference is regulation and safety, but the underlying principle is the same. The human digestive system evolved alongside these processes, adapting to extract value from food in multiple states. All of this leads to a simple but uncomfortable reality. Every craving you experience today, sugar, fat, salt, high-calorie foods, is not random. It's the result of millions of years of adaptation to environments where those things were rare, valuable, and necessary for survival. Your body is not optimized for abundance. It's optimized for scarcity, and that creates a mismatch. Because the modern world has removed the conditions your biology was built for, food is constant, effort is minimal, access is immediate. The system that once helped you survive now pushes you toward overconsumption, not because something is wrong, but because nothing has updated the program. So when you open your fridge late at night, even when you're not hungry, that decision isn't entirely conscious. It's driven by a system that still assumes resources are temporary, that still prioritizes storage, that still reacts as if the next opportunity to eat might not come. But the world it was designed for no longer exists. And that's where the real problem begins. Because for the first time in human history, survival doesn't depend on finding food. It depends on knowing when to stop